everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Cassie, also known as KnittaCass. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about the projects that I'm making, the patterns that I'm drooling over, a little bit about my family life on a small farm in Vermont, books I'm reading, and a spice of mental health. So go ahead and grab your favorite beverage, a project that you're working on, and come join me. I usually have my Pepsi here, but it is really cold and I am craving some hot chocolate. So I figured I would just get my podcast going and then make some hot chocolate so it doesn't get cold while I'm podcasting. It has been a little while since I've been on here. I want to do 2 podcasts a month, but January, despite how everyone says it was really long, actually felt very short for me. So today is February 5th, I think, Monday, February 5th. And it is that part of winter where you're so sick of winter. We are sick of snow, even though this winter we haven't gotten a whole lot. It's still there, it's still yucky. It's, kind of brown snow now. It's freezing, you're sick of freezing, and we hardly are getting any sunlight. And we've had winter for several months now, so we are just ready for it to be done. And it's that time where people can tend to get a little bit depressed, and it's I'm just trying to remind myself that winter doesn't last all year long and the sun will come back and we'll just ride through it. It is perfect weather for bundling up and reading, which I'm hoping to do the rest of the day today until I go and have my after school program. So enough rambling, let's get started. So for finished objects, I have a couple pairs of mittens. The first pair is a pair of camo mittens. I'll put a picture in. I made them for my youngest Weston, and I was really excited to make some mittens. I haven't made any in a really long time. I use the Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mitts or Best Simple Mitts, something like that. I'll write it down below. It's very straightforward. It has the measurements and stitch count and instructions for any type of yarn weight, and it goes from like baby to adult large. Very simple to follow. So I had him pick out 2 types of yarn. I figured I'd make him 2 pair. One was camo yarn and the other one was like this blue yarn that had like a bunch of different colors of blue. So I started with the camo first since he really likes camo yarn, and I did a lot of my knitting at basketball and some at work, and it just looked really weird. The first one looked really weird. The second one felt a little bit better. The first one was kind of larger and the second one was kind of smaller, and the thumbs just seemed like they didn't belong to either mitten. So I was really confused, and I decided that it was just because I hadn't knit mittens in a while and I must have measured wrong when I was doing like how many inches from the thumb gusset, etc. So the second pair, I realized that I must have been jumping around in the pattern, because the first time I had 15 thumb gusset stitches, and this next time I had 11 gusset stitches. And the measurement from the thumb gusset to where you do your decreases was completely different, and the mitten was beautiful looking, completely different than the first set of mittens. I have given him both pair. I think we've gotten rid of the camo, but I have pictures of both that I'll put in here. I'm really happy with the blue ones, and we decided that we would make a pair for his girlfriend. He has a little sweetheart. They're 5th graders, so it's just this really cute, like they sit together and they hang out together and they do these awkward hugs after they hang out. It's really adorable. So we are going to make her a pair of mittens as well. So I believe that's it for finished objects. So let me show you where we're at with her mittens. I've got it in this bag that was gifted to me by my brother's significant other at the time. They're not together anymore. But what's really cool about it is it has these 2 holes where you can thread your yarn through, and then it has the pocket for your notions, and you can just kind of carry it on your arm. So I've got 1 mitten done minus the thumb, which I tend to save for last. So it's onto this really cute, really bright color. He chose the yarn. So there's one, sort of, I'm counting it as one. And then I'm working on the thumb gusset stitches on this one. I'm working on these mostly at work on my lunch break. I don't want to bring anything complicated to work on because I never know how long it's going to take me to eat, and never know if I'm going to be needed sooner than my break. Now that I'm working night shift, I'm the only nurse there, so I try to bring something that I can just put down and not worry about. So hoping these will be done by maybe the end of the week, including the thumbs. I am also not working, it's a whip, but not actively working on my Find the Joy socks, or Find Your Joy socks by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. Oops, I dropped a stitch. Oops. Okay. So this is the Find Your Joy socks, and it's not very good yarn for this pattern, so I'm going to make this pattern in a simpler yarn, or even a tonal, just because the micro striping makes it hard to see the design. But I really wanted to use this yarn, and I really wanted to do the pattern. So this yarn is from Pretty Twisted Yarns, and it was a special colorway that we dyed in the Love and Stitches membership, and I already don't remember what it was called, but it was inspired basically by gingerbread and gingerbread-like colors and cookies, and it came with two minis. One is the blue and one is like a red, and I got it on her Stellina base. I like shorty socks, not like super shorty, but a little bit above the ankle kind of shorty. So this is ready for the heel, and I decided to start the second sock. And this is all I have on the second sock. This is the redder color. It's kind of a pink red, and haven't gotten diddly done. So I'm hoping to get to the heel of this sock, knit the heels together, and then knit the foot of the sock. I'm debating whether I'm going to knit the pattern on the foot of the sock, or if I'm just going to do stockinette, since it's not really showing up. But I'm not really sure if it'll change the characteristics of a sock, like if it'll kind of stand out. So I haven't worked on these in weeks and weeks and weeks, but I'm hoping to get back to working on them soon. This is the blue, and this is the red. Oh, and I have more. Adorn It stitch markers in here. Look at that, this is milk and cookies. So many stitch markers. I'm going to put these on my dresser with the rest of them. I also still have my campsite cardie. I haven't actively worked on it. It just needs the sleeves. So once I pick up for the sleeves, it should fly really fast. It's just stockinette. So hoping to get back on that train pretty soon. But most of my attention has been on my Rhinebeck Doodle Cal. This is a pattern by Jamie Lomax of Pacific Knit Co. So we did a make along for Doodle Cals. We actually did an interview with Jamie Lomax, who taught us a lot about color choices and color placement, and kind of deciding what motifs you want to use and how you can design your own motifs. And then we had a make along in January for using your doodles. I didn't cast mine on until I think the 29th of January, but it is super fun. So this is what I have so far. This is the Rhinebeck Doodle Cal. I have a provisional cast on, which is kind of making it roll up. It's a crochet cast on, but instead of doing a chain and then trying to knit into the loops of the chain, this one actually had you hold your knitting needle here, and you had a crochet needle here, and you would pull the yarn around the back side of the needle and then grab your crochet hook and pull it through the last chain of your crochet. So it's pretty cool. but it is making my yarn curl. So my first motif is apples, and this stem and leaf were supposed to be in a different color, but I thought that it didn't matter that much, and I do think it's kind of hard to tell it was an apple. However, when I showed it to a couple of friends who have seen the pattern and the motifs, they're like, oh, look, what cute apple with the pink. And that is in some pink stellina. This is a colorway from Fiber Stash Dye Works, and I do not know the name of the colorway because it was from some leftovers. And then I've got this really nice blue. I've decided that I'm going to alternate between blue and this kind of weird orange, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I'm going to alternate so that there's a light blue with a dark motif, and then like the dark orange with a lighter motif. And so I'm hoping that'll tie it into like a fall color. So the blue that I'm using is DK Swish from Knit Picks, and the colorway is Wonderland Heather. It's really pretty. That's my blue. And this orange I was a little disappointed with. On the website it looked more like a burnt orange, and in person I think it looks more brown, but it does look decent with these colors. It does kind of remind me of fall still. And my husband said it looks like burnt orange, so I'm just gonna roll with it. So that is what I'm using in the second motif here. It is, see, on the camera it looks more orange, but on here it just looks brown. But this is also DK Swish by Knit Picks, and the colorway is Allspice. And then this leaf motif, this grayish color, is Fingering Held Double, and it was also kind of a remnant that was hanging around from an extra project. I have no idea where I got the yarn or the colorway. And then I'm back to light blue. These are my alpacas. And what I learned in this is everyone tells you not to change your color dominance. So whatever color you're using as a dominant color in color work, don't change it. Well, I was just kind of going, it's a 3-color motif here, and a couple different times I did change the dominance for just ease of knitting. And you can really tell on this diamond motif. So you can see on this one, I held the dominant yarn like appropriately, like dominant, but on this one and this one I didn't, and so the stitch kind of hides. It'll block out, but it's still going to be noticeable. Yeah, it's hard to see that one too. But yeah, these are my cute little llamas. I had red yarn, same kind of story. It was a remnant, ball of yarn, Fingering Held Double. I don't know where I got it from, nor the colorway. And same with this pink yarn. And this pink yarn I think has like silk or cashmere in it. It was really, really soft. Didn't feel like typical yarn. Had to hold it double, and don't know the colorway or who it came from. And then this is really fun. I really love the hats. I think I really loved the color contrast and how bright the color is. And even though the color yellow is bright, when it's mixed with this like burnt orange, it just really makes it pop and kind of turn it into a fall color. Just think it's cute. That's what I have so far, and it's gonna be an infinity. So it's going to be like this and go all the way around. That way I can choose more motifs. Otherwise, I can maybe do one more motif or I would be done. But I picked out 10 motifs, I think. Printed the pattern, I cut it out, and I put my motifs in order of how I want to knit them. So I've got the apples that I've done, the leaves that I've done, the alpacas that I've done, and the hats that I've done. And then I'll have sideways little gray sheep, some trees, and then this is like this. The reason I have 2 sweater motifs is because I liked them both and I couldn't decide which one to do. So what I did is, or what I've decided to do is, each section is like a section of a certain amount of stitches. And so I'll knit this one in one section, and then the next section I'll knit this one, and I'll just keep alternating. That way I can have both these sweaters in that section. And then that is some yarn, some socks, and some really cute fluffy white sheep. So I'm really, really excited. Something I did learn while I'm knitting this, and Jamie had pointed out during a workshop / interview, that variegated yarn will not give enough contrast, and she had said something like, if you're working that hard, you really want your stitches to pop and you don't want your work to be wasted. So I had this really pretty yarn that I thought would be really cute for those big leaves that I made. And even though the leaves were against this, which I think they would stand completely opposite, and I'd be holding this yarn double, I thought it would really stand out. And I had to take back 4 rows because it just wasn't standing out, and you really couldn't see the stitch definition of the leaves, which was really disappointing. However, I do like the way it turned out with the gray. I also still have my crochet blanket, which I haven't worked on at all. I'm hoping to work on it very soon. I just need something kind of mindless to watch because I'm not very good or confident in crochet, and I have to look at my stitches while I crochet. So I believe that's it for whips. And in terms of my scows, should have cast on already. I am trying to do my 12 dishcloths this year. I did make 1 or 2 extra last year. So 12 dishcloths, and I follow a lady from, I think her name is Garlene, from the Kitchen Sink, and she will send you a dishcloth pattern once a month on the 1st of the month, and all you have to do is sign up for her newsletter. And so I wanted to knit the January one. It is Belgian waffles, and I have not cast it on yet. I do have a friend named Sarah who is going to be my accountability partner and knit them with me this year, and I believe she's finished hers already. And because it's February, the second one came out, and that is a City of Lights. So that is something that I need to work on. I think both of which would be really good projects to bring to work. I think that's it for scows. And then patterns I'm drooling over. I'm drooling over the Campfire socks by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. I'll put a picture in here. And I've always wanted to knit a yarn cozy from Knitty Natty, and I'm hoping to get some of those done as well. Last month I talked a lot about taking January to breathe and reset and just not feel super goal oriented and ready to run and put all that stress on you right in the beginning of the year, especially after the holiday season. So this month in February, I'm casually getting the goals that I want to make for the year and thinking ahead of kind of prioritizing what I really want to get accomplished in my knitting or crochet this year. So I want to do the 12 dishcloths, which I had already mentioned. I want to finish my campsite cardie. I want to fix my Rhinebeck sweater. This was the Autumn Court sweater by Dragon Horde Yarn, and I overblocked it and it made the neck really big, and I just want to fix it. I'm still mad at it, but I want to fix it this year so I can wear it again. I want to make project on my crochet blanket. I don't know where I'm at in terms of the yarn that I'm currently using, but I do know I have another ball of the same colorway, and I'd really like to get that done. Ideally, I'd like to get a whole bunch done, but I think if I break it into smaller steps, that it'll be more manageable. So I want to get the second ball done, and I think that will help really solidify some of the crochet stitches. I also really want to work on some amigurumi this year. That is the whole reason I wanted to learn crochet, besides blankets. I really want to make some cute little stuffies, so I'm hoping to cast some of those on soon. Not really sure like what I'm going to start with, but I really want to do it. I also want to make the brioche heart hat by Daniel. I'll put him down here. It has been on my Make 9, which I'm not doing this year. It has been on my Make 9 for several years, and I just couldn't figure out how to do the brioche increases. This past year I did learn how to do brioche decreases, so I have some boosted confidence that I can figure this out. I will probably make a swatch first so I can practice the increases on a swatch. Acquisitions. So I cannot find my January yarn from my January Yarnable, which is a yarn subscription box. You get the yarn and a bunch of goodies, and it's super fun. All your goodies come in a pretty thick bag like this that you can then use as a Notion pouch. And the theme for January was How Time Flies. And it had this really cute progress keeper of a clock. And then it had these stitch markers that help you count how many stitches you have. Oops, I've put them in this tin. And so they're wooden progress keepers. And they have 25, 75, whoops, 75, there's a 50, there's 100, it's a couple hundreds. And I used it. It was really helpful when I was casting on the stitches for my Doodle cowl, because I didn't have to go back and be like, oh shoot, how many stitches have I done? I can just do 25, 50, 100. And then once I got to the 100, I could remove the 25 and the 50 and use them again. And I can't find the yarn for my January. I don't know if I put it somewhere so it could get caked up for a project or what I did with it, but it was really, really beautiful. I did get February's Yarnable. It is really early, but I really, really want to show it. So if you haven't gotten February's Yarnable, go ahead like 3 minutes and you won't be spoiled. So I'll go through the extras first. So the theme was Love is Love. And you have this cute little pouch that says there's beauty in being kind. You've got this passion fruit punch tea, and the cool thing about this is it says it's like a lollipop, and you put it in the tea and stir it and it dissolves. So I'll give that to my youngest. He's a tea drinker. I am not. And then you've got this lotion bar called Goddess of Love, perfect for elbows, knees, and feet. And this is the yarn. Look how beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. And it's showing up true to color. And the colorway, of course, is Love is Love. It's on her plush sock base, 8515 superwash merino nylon. I don't know what I'm going to make. It's so beautiful. I don't know if I want to use it for anything. We'll see. I also got this yarn. This is from Barker Wool, and the colorway is Yarn Crush. It's on her Silky Solo single ply, 75% superwash merino and 25% silk. It's in this really fun colorway, and it was designed for our Love and Stitches memberships assigned pooling workshop. And assigned pooling is pretty cool, where you have a skein that has mostly the same color, and then you have like chunks in the skein that have a separate color, and you do a different stitch when you come to the opposite color. And the projects that I have found are absolutely amazing. I'll probably make a hat and I'll probably gift it to somebody. I'm not a hat wearer, but I also don't really enjoy shawls and don't want to commit to a really big project, because it's really just about learning how to use the assigned pooling and how to do the stitches with it. Family life, not a whole lot going on. My boys are still playing basketball. My daughter is still doing okay. And my youngest is going through a growth spurt and just seems so much smarter and just like not my little baby anymore, which is exciting and also kind of sad since he is the last of my kidlets. Farm life, not really much going on either. I may be making some tough decisions pretty soon, but until I make those decisions, I will not share anything, but stay posted. It's not anything, obviously, that you guys are going to be like, oh my God, or yay, but it is a part of my life, the farming with the sheep, and so I tend to share that with you all. Books I've been reading. I have been listening to From Blood and Ash by Jennifer Armentrout for a million years, only because I didn't listen to it very much. It was a really good book. Careful, Shadow. I really enjoyed reading it. It is, however, if you follow young adult books, which I tend to read a lot of, it was semi-predictable, but I do still want to read the second one. And I do have the second one. I got it for Christmas. It is The Kingdom of Ash, I think. And so I'll be reading that probably sometime soon. I also started and finished in January All the Light We Cannot See. My cat was a turd one day and scratched at it. So my sister kindly let me borrow this book. It was our book club book for January. Was it January? Oh yeah, we had two books for our book club group. One was All the Light We Cannot See. This is by Anthony Doerr. It takes place in Nazi Germany times, and there is a character who grew up in Germany, and there's a character who grew up in Paris, and their lives intertwine. And it's got some mini plot lines in it. It was very well written. I did not like the ending. I was not satisfied with the ending, but the book was really good. It's really worth the read. Our second book club book was Mad Honey by Jodi Picouot and Jennifer Finney Boylan. And this is a book about a boy who's accused of murdering his girlfriend. And the plot twist is amazing. You will learn a lot about bees and honey while trying to discover whether he is guilty or not. And when you get to the plot twist, you will not be able to put it down. Ouch. I also read and finished Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarrows, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Not a predictable YA book. There was things that did not follow a typical plot line, and then there was, of course, parts that make it YA. And at the ending, there's a twist that's kind of typical of YA, but not entirely. Really well done. Really, really enjoyed it. Couldn't put it down. Really great book. Wasn't like amazing like everybody's been saying and like talking it up, but it was a really good book. So good that I showed up to my niece's birthday party. And to be fair, side note, one of my sister-in-laws was going to be late. So I knew that we weren't going to start the presents and the cake and the ice cream for a little while. But we did show up at the scheduled time for the birthday party. And I had maybe 10 or 15 pages left, and I sat in the car and finished them before I went into her house. And then I went into her house kind of teary. I've been a book reader forever. They're kind of used to that. So, of course, I started Iron Flame, which is the second book, and I'm a decent amount in. And I am only reading this book right now, kind of. I'm only reading this physical book right now. I have started listening to the book club book, but I only want to be in this world. I am enjoying it so much. So far, I think the second one is better. Everyone that has been reviewing this book that I've been following says that the second book is not as great. I'm having a different experience. I also finished The Day of Fallen Night. Don't know if I brought that up the last time I was here. It is the second book to the Priory of the Orange Tree. I'll put the name of the author down below. The first book was absolutely amazing, and the second book just took like half the book to set up the characters and the places and the locations, and then it would get really, really exciting, and then like super deathly slow, and then really, really exciting, and then like deathly slow. And I got to a point where I just wanted to finish it, and it just dragged and dragged and dragged. Good ending, but just kind of a painful read. And I just started listening. I'm like a chapter and a half into it. The Kitchens of the Great Midwest. I will also put the author down below. and it is our February book club book. I do not know what it's about yet, and the first chapter is pretty boring, but I have been told by several people to hang with it and that it's worth the read. So we'll find out. So for mental health, I may have said this already, and if I have, I really apologize. I just saw it again. I don't know if it was on Facebook or Pinterest, but I follow a lot of mental health groups. And I saw this the other day, and I thought it would be a really good reminder for us, especially in the gloom of winter. I did have a whole nother thing I was going to talk about, which we will talk about next time. But this podcast, I wanted to talk about glimmers. And so a glimmer is kind of the opposite of a trigger. It is something that happens during your day that just gives you this instant sense of joy or happiness or relief, and it's just a reminder to notice when you have those glimmers, kind of live in that moment for a minute, soak in all the positivity that you're feeling, and maybe carry it with you that day. And so my homework for you is to notice your glimmers and to take your glimmers and put them in your pocket to help you through the rest of that day. Well, thank you all for joining me. That is all I have. So make sure you look out for your glimmers, and happy crafting. See you next time. Bye.